Hi, I'm Matthew Plummer, one of the UK leads here for Workspace 365 in the UK, and in this video today we'll be discussing a lot of the trends that we are seeing emerging that are relevant for CIOs. So a lot see the role of the CIO evolving and adapting and changing just as much as the IT landscape has. Previously, a CIO was known as Chief Information Officer, but a lot of people see that role now as the Chief Innovation Officer, really driving these trends and bringing these new services to the organizations that employees are asking and screaming out for. So we see many trends out there, and we're going to cover off the most specific and relevant to you as the CIO. But really, it's not just the digital trends that we need to address. The digital trends mean and build for something, and that's the trends that we're seeing for the workforce or the talents. And what that means is we're actually seeing in the US the Great Resignation trend, where employees are voting with their feet. They're no longer satisfied with the services that are being provided by IT, HR and communications, and they're moving and actively looking for other organizations that can supply and meet their demands with their interaction with the likes of communications, applications, and information as well. So the reason why Workspace 365 exists is because we want to help you deliver those services and that platform that employees are crying out for to help you retain your most valuable asset, which is your employees or the talent group. So all the trends that I'll be discussing with you today are a combination of internal and external cross-referenced and validated resource papers that we've reviewed. We've compiled the most relevant and what we see as being relevant to digital workspace and increasingly relevant to your role as CIO as well. So let's get into it, and I will tell you about the first trend. So the first trend I'd like to discuss is improving digital dexterity and advancing automation. So at the core of this trend, it's all about enabling efficiency for the employees by reducing complexity, increasing simplicity. We find that the world that we now live in is becoming more and more complex with the amount of applications, portals, login screens, sources for information in different cloud drives, for example, and then communication streams as well. It's been said and researched that a typical IT user would switch between applications, portals, and windows, as just mentioned, up to 1,100 times a day, which means for one individual in one workforce, that can be in up to an hour's time used, misspent, by just clicking between different screens, clicking between different applications. So even if we could give 15 minutes back, half an hour back to that employee, that would be life-changing. We'd be able to increase efficiency for the workforce or give people the ability to get to the gym or get back to the family for the meal, which means that that's a huge boost to their happiness and their digital confidence. So one of the keys of any digital workspace is adoption. We've seen that in the last 24 months, people are more adaptable than they probably once thought they were. What we really focus on adoption of any digital workspace. So there's two real methodologies when deploying a digital workspace. The first is the Big Bang approach, where it's very strategic, a lot of time spent with user groups, for example, so specific sample groups, and making sure that you have as much value in the platform from day one, so people can transition straight to the platform and have that switchover period. And you can do that by organization within the company. So the second way is more of a piecemeal approach, where you take the most valuable services, most commonly used platforms, you integrate those so people see that value straight away, and then you add on and layer on the value throughout time, bringing more and more services in until the point where everything, all the applications, communication, document management is all within the digital workspace. So the evolution of a digital workspace is key as well. As new platforms are brought into an organization, layering on that value as a living, breathing entity, as the workforce may require different things, as customizable as the individual employee themselves. You know, it's important that the foundation is built upon and new services are brought into the digital workspace to make it more valuable over time. So the second trend is optimizing the hybrid work culture. And what that means is, as I previously mentioned, the Great Resignation is already happening in the US, and that's because as we exit the last 24 months, employees have seen this hybrid remote working as very much something that they'd like to continue forward with. So people are very reluctant to go back to an office-based 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. Being able to blend the worlds, hence the hybrid, of home life and work life as well is very important for individuals. So it's key that organisations are built and set up to deliver that. So giving the ability to not just work in an office location, but remotely, and that spans the globe. A lot of companies are now, and organisations are now global. And therefore, as long as people have an internet connection, they should be able to work from any device or location that they choose. So a digital workspace is key, is really the foundation to being able to offer that service that employees are asking for. The ability to work from any device, anywhere, as long as they have an internet connection, and access the same level of applications, information, and communicate in the same way if they were in the office, if they were at home, or if they're in a different location anywhere in the world. So the next trend is really committing to the cloud. Most organisations are very much cloud first and have already made that commitment, but there are a number of organisations where transitioning is still ongoing and that journey fully hasn't completed yet. Legacy applications and applications that may still remain locally as well need to be catered for and delivered to the workforce. Really what we're seeing though is IT can deploy systems much faster than previously and maybe take a few more risks, especially with what's just previously happened. Being able to deploy things quickly and to bring these new services to employees is just as important and more important than taking 6-9 months developing them and then bringing them to them. So we're seeing a bit of a trend continue with shadow IT, and what shadow IT is when an employer or an individual goes and procures services outside of the control of the organisation, because people now live in a digital first world themselves. So going onto an app store, downloading an app, working with that is the common way and what we all do in our personal lives. So no longer can organisations take 6-9 months by bringing a service to their employees. What we do with the digital workspace is accelerate that process and bring those services that the employees are crying out for in a much faster time, weeks rather than months. And what that means is IT remains in control, the organisation remains in control of the likes of data flow, applications, and overall control of IT landscapes. One of the key focus areas within this trend is cost optimization, the ability to turn CapEx into OpEx with a cloud-first strategy, with subscription models, and really the flexibility and agility that gives the organisation to move around within the marketplace to make sure that they're getting the best service for their employees at any given time. So we're seeing, per user, per month licensing-based models as commonplace now, rather than huge commitments for long periods of time. So the next trend is all about business composability. And for a CIO, there are 3 main elements in being a composable business. And that's composable thinking, composable business architecture, and also composable technology. So by providing these 3 elements, what we're doing is giving the picture. At the minute, we've got an IT landscape which really is like a jigsaw puzzle, but without the picture on the box. So we've got the pieces and people are trying to put those pieces together as they're trying to make things fit, and everyone will come out with a different picture at the end. But really being a composable business allows you, or having a business composability at the forefront is really the goal that you're working towards. So giving people the ability to put the puzzle pieces together, the jigsaw pieces together, and really have the same unified outcome, which is key for the individuals. What this also means is that it's not just a static picture. If the picture changes, the pieces can be rearranged in order to meet the demands of that jigsaw at that given time. So we can rearrange the pieces, still all having the same image at the end. However, we have that defined shift and we can move things around knowing exactly where we want to go. So by being a more composable business, what you're doing is being ready for change and having the ability to grow. So one of the most common trends and themes that will probably come up in every single year is budgets for IT. There are different budgets and it really works from organisation to organisation. Some are seeing static budgets, some are seeing shrinking budgets, and some are fortunate enough to have that shift and that focus more onto IT that may even see a slight increase in budgets. However, there is one common theme, the IT and the expectations of IT are always being increased. They're being asked to do more with less, potentially, and really deliver all these services as the business evolves and grows. So irrespective of the size of budget, the responsibility has increased, and really it's at the fundamental. IT plays a massive part in an employee's happiness at work, how they interact with digital systems. Often with budgets, irrespective of the size of budget, we do partner with and recommend you speak to organisations such as Gartner that'll be able to make sure that you're potentially getting the best deal, looked at all the services and can really see everything in that market space that you are looking at, independent of service or offering. So the last trend I'd like to discuss is about being open and looking at a platform that's vendor agnostic. So this means you can integrate all the key systems that you require as an organisation into that digital workspace. What that means is that you'll be able to provide the highest value platform to the employees at any given time. Now, because we work in a cloud-first world, or we're on the transition to a cloud-first world, we're seeing more of subscription-based models for licensing, meaning that organisations can pick the best platform that caters to their needs almost on a monthly basis. So having the ability to integrate that platform and change that platform without really having that a detrimental effect to the employees is key, and is the reason why a digital workspace is required. So the key takeaways are that a digital workspace promotes agility and reduces complexity. It aids the transition to the cloud if an organisation's already on that journey, or boosts the adoption if that company is already there. It gives the entire workforce that single vision of how to work effectively with different platforms, systems, applications and information. So all of this provides the foundation for success and increases digital confidence for every single employee within the organisation. So thanks very much for watching this video. I really hope you got the value and it was informative. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got a lot more content that will be relevant. And also we're going to include all the links to the articles that we've referenced in the description. So thank you very much, and speak to you soon.